Good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to our first Unity webinar. My name is Nick King, and accompanying you guys today will be Machiel Odendaal, Elizabeth Guzman, and John Futcher discussing Unity Reflect. With this being our first webinar, we're going to be discussing Unity Reflect and the key features on what it can do for you, as well as having a demo, a live demo of Unity Reflect today. There will be questions at the end. Well, you'll be able to ask questions at the end, so please feel free to make notes during the webinar of everything that you're interested in, and we'll do our best to assist you guys with the questions at the end. So to start off with, a little bit about ourselves. I'm Nick King. I'm the Product Marketing Manager, Marketing Officer at Modena Design Centers, and Machiel Odendaal is the Technical Manager, as well as the Product Specialist for Unity at Modena. Modena AEC has been around for more than 15 years, and we are the leading suppliers of software business development and construction for AEC industries. We recently actually won the Innovator Award for Best Engineering and Constructive Software Company in South Africa, which we feel is, something to be very proud of. We joined Unity Reflect because, as Machiel says here just now, is the convergence of gaming and AEC is becoming a major part of the industry when it comes to visualization. Unity delivers a product, Reflect, which is aimed at improving the construction process with enhanced visual tools. And Machiel, I'm going to quote here, so be ready for this. This is the next step in visualization to improving how clients, contractors, and consultants interact with digital twins if it's fully rendered, low rendered, and mid-rendered quality. This engagement is extended with VR and AR integration, ultimately becoming easier with the live linking from Unity. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth. Elizabeth is the Unity specialist on her side. Elizabeth and John woke up really early this morning to be with us, so thank you guys. I'm not going to read through all of this, but as you can see, they know what they're talking about. And as well as Elizabeth also doing volunteer work to assist guys and improving their industry, John also does the same. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Elizabeth and John.
Great, thank you so much for that, Nick and Machiel. Let me start sharing my screen.
Sure.
Wait, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, perfect, thank you.
Excellent, thank you so much for that introduction. I love the code, Machiel. I'm really excited and happy to see that. Yes, like it was mentioned, thank you everyone for joining us today. We will talk about streamline communication in AEC with Unity Reflect, specifically about bridging the gap between design and decision makers. As was mentioned as well, the presenters for today will be John Futcher, my colleague, and myself, Elizabeth Guzman. We're both technical specialists here at Unity Technologies. Here's the agenda that we'll have for today. We will give an introduction about Unity, some company facts and figures, also an introduction to Unity Reflect, and a live product overview of the different solutions for different use cases Reflect provides. Like Nick was also describing, any questions you might have during the session, you can add them in the chat on the Q&A section, and we will have allocated time at the end to answer your questions live. And finally, we will close with any reseller remarks, pricing and promotion information, or any other additional information at the end. First, just to start, for those of you who do not know, Unity is the most widely used real-time 3D development platform in the world. And we enable anyone from emerging creators to global technology, entertainment, AEC, manufacturing, with all different tools that they need to create, operate, and monetize into the real world. We were founded in the year 2004 and really have a global presence around the world with 45 offices in about 17 countries. And I will say with around 3,500 full-time employees at this point. Yesterday, we were concentrating on gaming, but today we're not only doing gaming, but as you know, architecture, engineering, construction, education, automotive, aerospace, healthcare, just to name a few. And we have users creating real-time experiences in all these industries using Unity. But what is real-time 3D? Well, it is something that is immersive, it is interactive, it looks real, it acts real. It's like a high-end video game. So with real-time 3D, you can walk through a space, you can open a door, you can move objects, you can see through walls, and everything you see in there, you know, the animation, the space, the light, all that information gets rendered in real time. So we're actually curious to know the companies outside of game, specifically AEC manufacturing, what they think about real-time 3D. So we conducted a study last year with Forrester, where 97% of AEC and manufacturing companies say that they see a real potential in real-time 3D. 94% of those companies say that they're investing and expanding their investment on the technology. And also on average, companies in AEC see at least 6 use cases for real-time 3D purposes. However, only 19% are doing it. And the ones that are only used for really large models or pretty late in the design process where this kind of implementations are no longer needed. And you understand it's difficult. The experiences or the time that is needed to create real time is everything but that. It's really, really complicated in certain cases. So the reasons why, well, it can take days and even can take weeks for highly technical teams to prepare all the BIM data needed for this kind of implementations. So picture this. You have from Revit files to, you know, 3D Max files, and then you'd have to transform and convert that into other application, feed VR or AI purposes. And then you have to go again to the visual cycle to if you have any changes. So all that is really a painful data preparation process. Also, architects and designers, I'm an architect myself, are not developers. So very few can code in Unity. Even though the models are rendered beautifully as well, you know, all the information that is lost with the metadata is really important to have for any type of visualization and work. That also complies with the work done in silos. So it's usually departments working separately, not working and collaborating together, which creates a communication breakdown that results in costly mistakes. And at the end, all the solutions don't align with the construction world, but as we know, time is money and everything needs to be collaborated together where design iterations are multiple and you need different teams in order to do that. So what are we doing about it here at Unity? Well, we partnered up with Autodesk to create native applications and plugins inside Revit and Navisworks to seamlessly integrate the data conversion and preparation process. And through that collaboration, Unity Reflect was born. What is Unity Reflect? It is a BIM coordination and design solution that connects all project stakeholders and members, all decision makers and designers and end users in one immersive, collaborative, real-time platform, regardless of the device you're using, the model size, or the geographic location. So you can transfer all your BIM data from Revit, Navisworks, SketchUp, and Rhino. We have native plugins inside those applications. And you can create a range of 3D experiences in any type of device. You know, you can do AR experience, VR, and it allows you to bridge the gap between design, decision makers, building owners, and occupants. It is a design review and coordination solution that provides you different options and solutions, such as you can communicate design intent. So you have an immersive and interactive environment where everyone can participate, provide their feedback. It's a faster decision-making solution where we have data federation and live link. Meaning any changes that we made in the platforms, just as, you know, moving a door, changing the materials, removing elements, you will see that apply right away in Reflect. Also, you can use Reflect in any platform, any device, anywhere where you can connect different stakeholders, you know, on the cloud and allowing to tie the office to the field. And lastly, it's a flexible and custom application where you can build upon. You can have a starting point and you'll have any additional implementations that we don't offer out of the box. And with that, with the spirit of real time, let's start with a product overview of all the different solutions that Reflect has to offer. So here first, I will start by having a comparison. Here I have on my left Navisworks, and on my right, I have Reflect. And as you know, Navisworks is a great tool that improves, you know, design and coordination by combining all this information into one model. And I have my information here in my model, and everything is good as long as I'm revising this with the technical users, you know, the Navisworks users that know and understand the model. But let's say you have the building owners or the occupants of the building in the meeting, and they want to express their feedback about different options and solutions and changes. This might not be the best view for them because they might not understand the technicalities. As you know, for this tool, if you want to navigate, you really need to know and learn how to do so. Like if I do like orbit, or if I want to walk into the space. Of course, if you're a Navisworks user, you know your shortcuts and all the keywords that you can use for, easy navigation, but that requires training. So imagine, your occupants or your building owners having feedback, allowing them to utilize the information in here is not as easy. And you might say, well, the BIM coordinators, the people that use Navisworks every day can guide the meeting, can, apply the feedback of the building owners and occupants later in the design process and, meet later with them to revise them. But that is not ideal either, because you want your building owners and occupants to be engaged. You want them to feel like their design and their solutions are implementing right away. You want them to participate in the process. So as you can see, this might not be the best tool for that. In contrast, we have Reflect. So as you see, for me to easy navigate, I just have to few strokes with the mouse to rotate. You can also have dive into the space. It provides you that, and you can use a camera view to go around and easily navigate. And us, we're really well proficient or positioned to understand navigation better because, we actually work really hard on this and to understand how to easily navigate with our products and solutions. We're especially positioned as a game engine to provide all these implementations for easy navigation that we provide with other implementations for, doesn't matter if it's AEC, if it's film, or is it games. All that information as well that you have from the Navisworks and Revit models, like all the BIM data, you have it here as well. So you can filter out all that information, categories, family. You're familiar with all of this. You can filter and isolate and look at all that together. We also have all our implementations and solutions that we'll revise later as use cases. But for now, you're probably wondering, how do I bring my model to Reflect? How does it work with the old process, and how does that look like? So I will now share another model. We will look at Revit as another platform for you to also see how the interface looks like in there. So this is my Revit model. And if you're familiar, of course, with Revit, you will have another tab in here called Unity Reflect. And you have three options. You have your dashboard where you can see all your projects and the location. You have the export option and also the sync option. So with the sync, we export all the geometry and all the information and metadata, and we establish a live connection. And if I just quickly go here to look at the dashboard, there are three locations where you can store or export this data. So you can have this locally on your machine. You can also share this on the local network, like in the office with your colleagues, or you can also share this on the cloud. So allowing this to share to the cloud allows you to access this model anywhere on this matter geographic location and by anyone too in your cloud organization. And on the cloud point, I just like to make a note that we never actually put or push your model to the cloud. So it's not ever like the Navisworks file or the Revit that goes in the cloud. We take all of the right data, all the geometry, BIM information, and that's how we use for visualization in Reflect. All the different components, of course, if you don't want to push to the cloud, you always have the option to push locally, either on your local premises with your laptop or desktop, or also use the local network with your colleagues. And as you see here, I also established a live link with this model, but instead of me being the one going over all the different options and solutions, as you know that I already have access to this, my colleague John, he's all the way in Buffalo, New York. I'm located in Canada, also has access to this model. And we're going to revise with him all the different implementations and solutions Reflect provides for design review. And while we do that, I want you to think about all these different scenarios and questions. Like, how many times have you gone to a meeting where you have heard questions you have answered before? And you probably have. It's just that the communication between your occupants, your building owners, your designers, and end users is not really good. So they probably don't understand each other. As you know, visuals and languages, they provide all the information that you need for a common view on the communication. And Reflect allows you to bring all your drawings or your 2D, 3D information into a place where your clients and users and occupants can understand the design. So with that, and with further ado, John, you can take it away.
Thanks, Ellie. You see my screen all right?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Great, thanks. Well, so what if you wanted to have a design review session with stakeholders that were located all over the world? And what if those folks weren't very technical and didn't have access to Revit or Navisworks or potentially a powerful PC? Well, here we see the same model that Ellie had up in Revit here in Reflect. And with Reflect, you can invite anyone, regardless of their location or their device or their technical expertise, to join in the conversation looking at the same exact project. So now from hundreds of miles away, I can control the Reflect viewer on my own. As Ellie mentioned, it's all very accessible and easy to navigate. Basic keyboard and mouse inputs would be familiar to anybody who's ever played a game, but also with the background in gaming, a lot of affordances are made to make it as intuitive as possible to have the maximum amount of people understand it with a minimum amount of training. You can kind of pick up and play, you can move around and get around everything pretty easily. Now, I can easily also just move into the space. Double clicking will allow me to teleport around, and I can get in and get a general view of what this space might look like inside. Now, without the need to parse any technical data or look through, all the little pieces of technical info that are scattered throughout the project in Revit, I can see just visually what materials are assigned to what object. I can see, that the floor has this material, and I can select these things with this Bim information tool. And by clicking on them, I can get direct access to the actual data that's coming directly from our same project. So I can see here the ID, the wall, like the category, the family, and visually, what if immediately I can just see, what if there's an issue here? I can select on this floor and I can turn to my designer and I can say, can you please update the material on this floor with this ID and give it, the hardwood that we talked about before.
Exactly. So Jay mentioned designer, that's my cue. So I have access to the Revit model on my end. And like John was mentioned, what happens if you're in the construction side and the raw material was delivered? Or let's say you have a purchase order with your contractor to say, change this carpet to wood. You already apply, as you know, that's extra cost, and you want to see that change in your model. So I will go ahead and in my Revit model, I will change the floor from carpet to wood. And you should be able to see that change on John's screen. So I go ahead and search for my wood material in Revit, and I'm going to apply it to the floor.
And there it is. And that's all it took. And not only can you see that the issue got spotted, but you can see in real time that the required change has been made and made correctly. I was able to clearly and unambiguously communicate, like, this is the object that I'd like you to act on without having to know Revit and ask for, can you please update that? And it syncs live and I can see the update live. So now we know we're on the same page. We know the current state of the project. This is really important because communication can be really hard, especially across large multidisciplinary teams where everybody's all over. They have their own backgrounds and their own the lenses on the project. But Reflect offers something of a Rosetta Stone for that. It allows everybody to share the same unified view on the project, regardless of their personal background. And now we can see that the requested change was not only heard and understood in the meeting, but the change was updated in the document of record, in the actual project itself.
Exactly. And I can speak to experience too, to summarize what John was mentioning. So as an architect and also someone that studied, have master's civil engineer, we encounter all these issues every day. And I probably, you did that as well. You encounter the issues as well. So it's funny because when I studied architecture, we don't only take design courses, but a lot of humanities, management courses. They have to speak to clients. The communication is really important to be able to understand each other and apply the changes and to meet the client needs is actually a major thing in a role. So imagine if I had Reflect back then, it would have been amazing to apply to this with clients live during the session.
Right. And, if you didn't catch this until it was too late, like it could have a major impact on your budget. It can push your timelines. How much would it cost to fix if, that little miscommunication didn't happen, or somebody wasn't able to join the meeting from where they were or their background. Now you can bring in all those folks to make sure that you capture their view and make sure that little miscommunications like this can be easily avoided. Now, similarly, when you're bringing people into the meetings, sometimes you want to have a more basic view of the space, to have a discussion about the layout, and you don't want to get bogged down in kind of the more trivial details. So to that end, we also have a texture tool where we can actually remove all the materials from the scene to get more of a white card view. And we can take that a step further with our Bim Filtering Tool. Now, this allows us to filter on any category. These categories are populated directly from the BIM data from the project itself, where we can select on doors or ceilings. Or, for example, here we have the project broken out by the phases that they'll be getting worked in. So here we have phase 3. We can back this out to drop out some of these details to have a more simplified view of the space, so we can understand, and have a discussion about the layout without getting bogged down into little details like the color of the walls or something. I'm sure you've all been in a meeting where it got derailed onto small details where more important matters needed to be discussed first. And while those matters might be important later, if you want to keep things on the agenda and on topic, sometimes it's nice to drop out these extra details. And just for example, we could also back up the project here with the phased view. We can back it out to the different phases as they come in. This would be the prior layout phase, and then bringing in the walls, and then these added details here. And it's just as easy to bring them back in. Turn the textures back on. Another thing to look into is we also have the ability to look at our lighting data. So this will show us what the interior lights look like. This could be very important if you're having a meeting with folks that are responsible for lighting, but also to get a good sense of the space and what it might look like when it's not lit by natural light. And also to that end, we also offer the sun study tool. So this allows us to, once you know where your build is going to be, you can put in your latitude and longitude of anywhere in the world and select your time of year. And you can see, in winter, what will the space look like when it's lit at different times of day. You can actually roll this right across in real time and get a general understanding of, what it will look like at different times of day. Now, for example, here around 6 o'clock in winter, there's a lot of sun on this wall pouring in. Maybe we don't want all that sun pouring into those doors at that time. And that allowed us to easily see, perhaps we should add some window shades, over here where we can see, and without them, if we drop them out, we can see that, there's too much over here. So we're easily able to identify that without, any extra stuff. It's very visual, easy to understand, perhaps, want to make sure that not too much sun's pouring into that spot at a certain time. Now, this can also be really important in an urban environment where you might have buildings next door to your building. It could be casting a shadow on your space. You can also incorporate that, and perhaps your building is also casting a shadow on a nearby park. That could also be important to understand early in the project because it could have impacts. And if you don't catch that early on, it could be really costly to try to figure out, how to block the sun or make sure that enough sunlight is making it into other areas. So now all we've seen right here, this has all been on our desktop tool. We did mention that you can use this anywhere on any device. So we have multiple perspectives that you can also use. And to that end, we'll also see the same space in VR real quick. So here is the same space in virtual reality. You don't need to do any extra work to get it to work in virtual reality. It's the same preparation, it's the same data import. It's one click. It's basically changing your view over. If you have access to an Oculus Rift headset, you can pop it on, and now you can visualize the space from within true 3D stereoscopic rendering. Now you can actually feel the sense of the space. One thing that virtual reality offers is a real sense of scale, where you can actually feel how big the environment is, how far away is that wall. Does the room feel too tight and cramped? Does it need to be opened up more? How does this feel when you're actually standing inside it? And just because this perspective is unique and offers that unique perspective, doesn't mean it comes with a lack of functionality. We still have all the same functions that I was showing, the ability to select the objects, look at all the BIM data, move around amongst the space, turn the textures on and off. And this can be a real exciting way to engage your owners and occupants and let them kind of get a sense of what the space might feel like when it's done. It's a really exciting way to kind of develop presence and excitement for the project. Now, we also understand that not everybody has access to virtual reality headsets. But one thing that everybody does have access to are mobile devices. So here we see the same project again on a mobile device. And so once again, you see this familiar set of tools on each side. And also just to drive home that it's still back to the same project, linked to all the same data. Let's look for an easy example to kind of show. Hey, Ellie, could you please update the walls on the outside here?
Yes, let me go ahead and apply that in my Revit model. And on my end.
And so you can see, within seconds of asking, I can see without any, technical need on my side. I simply, I visually see a need for a change. I can ask my designer to make that, and they can make that right in the actual project, and I can see it reflected here in my own view. Now, you might also be wondering, I've got a giant architectural model. There's no way this is going to be able to be shown on a mobile device. How does this work? How can it get in there? Well, here, I'll show you one loading from scratch. I'll use one that's even a little slightly bigger than the one we just saw. So here we're seeing the model loading over time. I'm seeing things kind of come in with that blue box setup. This is our custom progressive streaming algorithm. This allows Reflect to load these very large models in steps. Now, while it was loading, you could see that I was rotating and already looking at the model while it was doing it. It doesn't lock the process down and wait for the entire thing to load. I can get in and I can start looking, and it will start loading the things that are within my perspective first. So the things that are most important to what I'm looking at will be loaded first, and the other things will be loaded in the background. Eventually, it will all load. This also means that by using this algorithm, we can load very large models and get them to show on a variety of devices. So no matter where somebody is, they could be anywhere in the world. They could be on site. They could be, out in the field, and they can take out their phone with Android and iOS and open up the same view that everybody back in the office is looking at and get insight into the project. And again, all the same tools apply. We can also use our filtering here. Now this one I said it was slightly larger. That's because it also includes the federated data from Navisworks that allows us to see the structural and HVAC data. So if I back away the architectural data, I can now see the structural data, the HVAC, and you can turn these on and off at will. And it's a real easy, intuitive way to see if if there's some conflicts before you get too far in your project. You can catch those, so it can be really costly mistakes if you don't see them. And it's really easy to see when you're visualizing it in 3D. Now, another view we also offer here is the ability to throw this into a tabletop AR situation. So what I can do is I can open this up and I can find a spot anywhere in my room. And now you can see the model viewed locked to a location in your physical space. And I apologize if I get a little far away from the mic and you can't hear me so easy, because I'm actually walking around the model. This is really great for your extremely non-technical users because it requires no input. You simply can just look around and get a sense of what the space is. And obviously, if it's a little too tight there, what you can use is use the scaling tool to shrink it down or blow it up. So I can bring it up. I can get another view into my space, kind of similar to what we saw with the virtual reality view. But now I'm just viewing it through a mobile device. I can look at it from all these different angles. All you have to do is move around. And you can take this all the way up into even being full one-to-one scale. So now I can actually stand in the space and see it just with my mobile device. I can just walk around this color and see it from kind of any angle here, just through my mobile device. And I'll shrink it back down. So as you can see, Reflect offers you the ability to connect all your project members in one kind of unified, immersive, collaborative, real-time platform, regardless of device or location. You can use your desktop, laptop, VR headset, mobile devices, even kind of the tabletop AR. And all of this works together to bridge that gap in communication and make sure that everybody has the same vision of the project together. And relying on the old design review models where you can't include people that are remote, or if they're not technical enough to contribute to a conversation looking at a Navisworks file. You know, you're opening yourself up to miscommunications and increasing the risks on your project. And giving them an accessible and unified view, you can involve anyone, anywhere, on any device, and get their insight. And that can save you, you know, time and money that would be lost on rework, but it also engages them and it grants them ownership on the project. And that'll grow their excitement, because when they're involved in the discussion, now it's their project too. Right, Ellie?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, John. And to summarize everything you saw here, this is why we offer Reflect out of the box. And you know, the interfaces with Revit and Navisworks might not be the best ones to show, you know, design review in a meeting with non-technical users. Like, is it like a camera frame or a single picture and image really the best way to communicate your design? How you can make for your customers, how efficient it is, you know, how many times you struggle to communicate the designs, and also share feedback back and forth. So as you saw with Reflect, it provides you with all the tools, the interface to do that. And as well to answer all those questions for different solutions and implementations that we just presented.
Right, and also it's important to note that if you have any features or options that you didn't see us show, know that Reflect and the viewer are completely extensible. You know, Reflect itself is built on Unity, which can be used to make pretty much anything. And with Unity Pro, you can use the platform to develop any custom solution you can think of. And we've seen companies make great use of this in many ways, even going so far as to create one-to-one AR experience of their building at the location where they're building it, kind of a, you know, virtually incorporate it into the skyline before it's done, which is very cool. And even if you don't have developers on staff, you can work with your reseller to get anything you need made. So with that, we can head back to the deck here.
Great, thank you, John. So I will share my screen again. Excellent. So it was mentioned before, this is why we offer out of the box Reflect, but like John mentioned at the end, you can extend the applications and different solutions with Unity Pro combined with Unity Reflect. So all the 30 plugins that we have, Navisworks, Revit, SketchUp, and Rhino, you can all visualize this in United with Unity Pro to extend the life for other VR headsets as like the Microsoft HoloLens and other applications we have in the engine. And some of the examples that you can use for this type of customizations to build upon Reflect is that you can brand the experience by having the logo of your client, the information of the company, the different design, you know, options and images that you want to include. You also have little custom applications like one-to-one AR, and here's where you can overlay content into the real world with a construction site. And also you can create like more photorealistic environments, like if you want just really high detail or different interactive experiences where you open doors, move materials like you saw, or like experience the environment in a different way. You can also do that with the engine. It's like you saw, for me, I'm really excited actually with Reflect, because as an architect, someone that has worked with all different applications, implementations, I find that Reflect allows everyone really, like technical users, not technical users, you know, building occupants and owners to give actionable feedback and insights to be included in the conversation that maybe they were not included before. And also it doesn't have a limitation of, you know, training that you need to have, geographic location, or the device that you're using. And this is just me, so just don't take my word for it. We also have clients that are utilizing Reflect. Like, for example, we have Adam for Shop Architects in DS saying that it's a game changer for the industry. So after this presentation today, we hope you're really excited to try Reflect out and that it also becomes a game changer for you. And with that, we'd like to thank you and also thank our partners again for always, you know, the support and the continued partnership as always at Modena. So first we will take any questions that you might have now for the Q&A, and later on the partner Modena will go and will present any, you know, promotions and closing remarks. So we open up for questions.
I'll quickly read through some of the questions. John or Elizabeth, you guys can answer.
Perfect.
What is the difference between viewing the model in BIM 360, for example, contractors, versus this platform? I don't know if you guys have experience with BIM 360 at all.
Yes. So as you know, with Bim 360, you know, the coordination and process, it's great to share your models, also have any feedback you might have for the different instances of design. For that, you need training in order to use it. You know, you have different tabs, a lot of information in there in Bim 360 too. Reflect doesn't really need that extra training to like use it with your clients or share your models. Also, you have live sync and actionable feedback on the actual model itself, not like on the files and share that you can later review, like and link together. As well as the different experiences that we mentioned for the VR and the AR too, that you don't have that link in there, or that you need custom applications in order to build that after you plug that in and use that information. So there are a lot of different things that we have, and compared to Bim 360, we're also working to integrate with further platforms. As you know, we have plugins with Revit, we have plugins with Navisworks and SketchUp and Rhino. So we're working also to expand our tools or plugins that we provide, and for sure Bim 360 is one of them. I wouldn't mention a date or anything when that's coming, but we're definitely looking at also integrate with that tool and to extend the applications.
I also wanted to mention that I'm aware of that on the roadmap.
This is Dan Prohaska. I'm a product manager. I'm listed as Ben, but actually my name's Dan. And yeah, as Elizabeth alluded to, we announced a year ago an integration with Bim 360. We actually have every intention of keeping a close partnership with Autodesk and integrating our technology with a lot of their solutions. So Revit was the first, Navisworks was the second, and Bim 360 will be, excuse me, showing and releasing something soon. As a public-facing company, we can't really give hard dates, but yeah, that is coming. And then just sort of to kind of readdress the initial question, like what's the difference between this and Bim 360? Like Elizabeth said, this is a easier to use environment. It's a not only
Hey Dan, you're cutting in and out there.
Maybe see if I can speak a little louder. I think my internet connection just went unstable. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah, we can do that.
But it's also the best way to get into VR and AR, which is something Bim 360 just doesn't really support, right? So one-click VR, one-click AR, as John was showing, is really valuable to provide in that environment. It's live linked, so you can see changes if they're coming directly out of Revit on the fly. Bim 360 doesn't afford that same kind of capability, but still, at least you're all in the same model and looking at the same thing. So it's ease of use. It's a richer environment, and it gives you access to every possible platform you can imagine. And that's really the things that allow this to complement Bim 360.
Okay, there's another question. Are you guys planning on developing a live link for 3ds Max?
The short answer is no. The longer answer is that 3ds Max is a much more complex environment. As oddly enough, the AEC team's product management team consists of two former 3ds Max product managers, me and a gentleman named David. So we certainly love 3ds Max, but it's not the kind of environment that lends itself easily to this kind of connection. So being able to support all of the IK chains, the skinning in real time, and everything else that comes with 3ds Max doesn't really go one-to-one with what we're trying to achieve here with this environment. So 3ds Max is a great tool, and for certain kinds of high-end visualizations, it is the king, and I think it will be a long time before that loses its crown or steps down off its throne.
Okay, I think also for me, coming back to the previous question, the difference between Bim 360 and Unity Reflect, and that's the question Jock has, is how does the licensing work? I think there's a huge cost difference and how it operates. Elizabeth, can you quickly just give us a brief overview of the licensing structure for Reflect?
Licensing structure. Yeah, so sure. So like you need, in order to have to export the model and know that information in different platforms, you need a license. So you would get that in Unity Reflect and a plugin and a Unity ID. But all the actual viewers that we presented to you, all those are free. So you can share the viewer with your clients and you can, do the implementation and design review with them as well. In terms of cost and prices, of course, you will touch on that later. But, it's AEC integration of having the license, having Unity ID to log in if you need to export the information for the platforms into Reflect. But if you just need to access the viewers, those are completely free for the users.
Yeah, I'd also like to add on to that. When we initially approached, or when Unity, when we partnered up with Unity, Ben had this nice kind of explanation of how the Reflect licensing works. If I need to publish my model, it's kind of like a PDF. If I want to publish a model, I need a license, but everyone else can have access to it for free. So they just need a Unity account. So it's actually quite a lot cheaper than BIM 360, where everyone has to buy a license. I just want to any other questions or any other last minute remarks before we continue on? Okay, Nick, I don't know if you want to take it on to the next slide.
Will do, thank you.
So while Nick is looking for the share button, for me personally, I really enjoy this kind of integration with Unity. It really gets me excited about the industry for visualization going forward. I think it's long been awaited, a platform that you can actually really take from design to construction and even further extend that into facility management if you wanted to. So yeah, for me, it's been interesting to learn Unity and also kind of Unity Reflect at a beginner stage. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of what Unity is bringing up. Cool, Nick, you ready?
Yeah, same. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Elizabeth, John, Ben, and Machiel. I really think Unity is an awesome solution to assist all and everybody in the AEC industry. And I'm sure everybody who was present in the webinar will actually agree with us. So what we'll be doing after this webinar is I'll be sending everybody a 30-day free trial for you guys to test it out and actually see if Unity Reflect is for you and how it works. And also for you to come back to us with feedback and all of that. And we also have 2 offers at the moment. The first one being purchase 5 seats of Unity Reflect at a 50% discount from us here at Modena. And the second offer being by a combo of Unity Pro and Unity Reflect at 20% off the normal retail price from Modena. So that will be available to you guys. We'll also be sending you a lot more information on Unity so you guys can dig in and enjoy. Any last words and thoughts from you guys? John, Elizabeth, Machiel?
Really nothing from my end, just to thank you so much for including us, for being a partner as always. We're really excited for you to try Reflect. And also if you have any questions that we want to answer live today, Machiel or Nick, you can share that with us and we can then communicate it to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah. And also in the emails that I'll be sending you guys, please feel free to send us questions and I'll forward them to John and Elizabeth and they'll definitely help you out. On that note, everybody, thank you very much for sharing our first Unity webinar. There will definitely be more to come. I think Unity from my side, I think it's an awesome solution once again to everybody in the AEC industry. And yeah, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day and we'll be in touch, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks. Bye.